Well, Mark, here in Australia, we've got both sides of politics saying they're going to stay in the Paris Agreement. What for a country like Australia, which has a lot of coal and a lot of gas and a lot of stuff under the ground, is the point of staying in Paris if the U.S. is out, it doesn't apply to China, and the rest of the world has moved on?
I don't know. It's a question of how long your voters and Australians are going to put up with this nonsensical virtue signaling. The bottom line is this. Climate goals, net zero, have nothing to do with climate change. It's all about bureaucratic bean counters wanting to control every aspect of your life. If you actually cared, if you actually believed there was a climate crisis, whether you're in Australia or the U.S., the last thing you'd want to do is, well, let's go with a central planned net zero policy and a Green New Deal where we start banning appliances and regulating, the kind of cars you can drive and how much meat you can eat, which every European nation would. It would be the opposite. You would want to unleash technology, innovation, wealth, prosperity, and you'd want to continue riding that 99% drop in climate-related deaths the last 100 years. The last thing you'd want to do is hinder yourself with central planning nightmare of that. So I don't know. I hope Australia comes around. If Trump leads the way, and we already have Argentina talking about a Clexit, a climate exit from the UN Paris, and the European countries aren't going to be making commitments or doubling down. They are. Once Russia invaded Ukraine and they had all their energy crisis in Europe, they started pulling back anyway. Australia will be alone in the world. It's only a matter of time before you come to your senses, isn't it?
Well, you can
Good
hope
question.
so.
I would hope so, Mark.
I don't know. You tell me.
But if I'm having my Diet Coke in the afternoon, I'm obliged to use a disgusting paper straw that disintegrates, that is completely pointless. And this is where Trump is brilliant, because he's not only doing the really consequential things like drill, baby, drill, making sure America's energy independent, but reversing this ban on plastic straws. He's saying we're getting rid of paper straws, we're going to have plastic straws because it's a stupid decision. I mean, talk about vacuous virtue signalling. We know where the plastic in the ocean comes from. It is a real problem, that pollution, but we're not dumping our rubbish in waterways. It's coming from mainly 5 Asian countries. Yes. Tell me about the response to this, because this affects everybody. You know, everyone uses straws. Has it been well received, or are the left up in arms about it?
I mean, yes. I mean, first of all, the greatest gift that they ever gave Donald Trump was trying to threaten him with jail. At that moment, last summer, 2024, Donald Trump transcended politics, because here they knew we're going to put a politician in jail over nothing charges. The public knew it. That made him win. The same thing, Donald Trump understands that transcending politics. When you lift a ban on plastic straws in America, you've just said no more bull bleep and no more crap. It's not there anymore. This was the most absurd thing. In California, they were threatening waiters with $1,000 fines if they stuck a plastic straw to someone. You have grocery stores, same thing with the plastic bags. Everything in the grocery store, from milk to bacon to meat to every product is packaged in plastic, but you can't have a bag on the way out. It's all designed to punish people. The little paper straws. It turns out, and Donald Trump knew this, that the paper straws have a bigger carbon footprint, and they're not healthier for the planet or people. They have what they call forever chemicals in them. The plastic's actually healthier and better for the planet, the plastic straws, and they actually work. So the reaction has been huge here. The whole federal government is going to be lifted on this. All the states that have been fighting for this. People realize this has all been virtue signaling, and it's directly tied to the transgender ideology, the critical race theory, the whole woke agenda. They've just had it. In America, the NFL is removing end racism in the end zone for the Super Bowl. It's unbelievable what we're seeing. We're seeing comedians now make off-color, politically incorrect jokes again, the mainstream comedians. America is this is a cultural shift that's bigger than 1970s.
And it'll change the world, Mark. But I want to take your straw thing. That is the perfect metaphor for windmills, for solar panels, for all these things. They do far more damage, don't they, Mark? You tell me. You're the author of the climate hoax films. Don't these things like windmills and solar panels, which we are now flooding this country with, literally out in the ocean and on the land, don't they do an incredible amount of damage?
Absolutely. In fact, in the United States, marine mammals, and particularly whales, we've had an unprecedented whale mortality since they started this huge construction off the coast and the East Coast in the United States. They give them more whale takings. In other words, they're allowed to kill endangered species of whales. They're allowed to kill a number that's greater than the known amount of species in the wild. In other words, they're allowed to just completely obliterate it. And the thing that's amazing is that they don't produce energy. Solar, wind combined are less than 4% of U.S. total energy. And on the electrical side, they're only less than 14%, despite massive subsidies, massive mandates, banning the competition. It takes 500,000 pounds of materials to build one Tesla-sized EV battery. When people talk about green energy, there's nothing green about digging up the earth. Green energy, solar, wind, and EVs dig the earth, and not in a Brady Bunch 1970s groovy way, but in a literal way. China dominates most of the materials that they dig up.